I am thinking if it is time to remove the feeding tube as my marriage is on life support. My partner has even threatened me with it, since she intends to cheat on me at some time. I have also been on tenterhooks wondering when the deed will take place for the past year. Everyone thinks, of course, simply file for divorce. It is mental torture. Alternatively, you are a crybaby and a wimp. Just leave. Still, I adore my partner. I have gone through hell to be with him, and I do not want to be a failing statistic at the youngish age of 35. You may see my predicament since I still wish to have more children with this man. We originally got together in college. Early in the new millennium, we both attended Texas University. Both of us were enrolled in a program at my university known for producing veterinarians. My husband works with cattle. I have pets. He quit being a vet after a few years and realized his real calling was long-distance trucking. He makes pork chops on a straight line from San Francisco. The man runs in under 24 hours every time. He is a machine. Once he informed me, honey, I never drive faster than what I can see. Apart from that, it all comes from the reactions. We obviously aren't struggling for money, even after his career change, which I opposed and lost. Still, we met at Texas University in Bryan, Texas, as I mentioned. I had been very sexually active, but I had slowed it over the last few months while I considered my future. From what I could see from their trousers, quite well equipped, especially in the back. I had checked out a few possible options, both around 5 foot 10 inches with swimmers' bodies. But I digress. I finally chose James and started the conquest. As I said, I was not a virgin, but it's simple to trick people on virginity. The love tore your hymen, hence you just act clumsy, and 4 girls lie and claim it pains. This isn't the Middle Ages. Nobody searches for blood anymore. Apart from that, a pro advice for ladies: put some red lipstick on a tissue, then dab away the fluids later on. Instant hymen blood, sometimes known as your period's starting blood. Trust me, males are not going to probe thoroughly into the topic as they are so phobic of blood near bed. Regarding the hymen, it's just a lot of rubbish overall. Though I'm a vet, I am still a doctor. About 80% of women have the hymen, a crescent-shaped strip of skin at the bottom of the vaginal opening. Though rare, some unhappy souls have aberrant hymens that either completely or partially block the vaginal opening. These typically break from strenuous lifestyles or from surgical intervention to enable menstruation to function. Should a woman have a normal hymen, it is quite likely that it will stretch with use rather than tear. It gets split when you have a plus-sized partner, the female is not lubricated correctly, or the intimacy is especially intense. All those tales you have heard about guys getting partially into a vagina and then feeling the hymen blockage are essentially urban legends, or they just didn't prepare their partner enough and they actually made a micro tear in the lining near the constricted muscle. James most probably missed it, hence my strategy worked to some extent. The tablet failed in that it unintentionally ran counter to medications from a sinus infection while it was being taken. My water broke thus immediately after I had my certificate, and we had to visit the delivery room. Indeed, depending on where we go from here, Mrs. Burton either now or at least still is if you missed it. Though she prefers Margot, our daughter Margaret's name is Gracie. She's most clearly the daughter of her dad. We get along poorly. It's probably because both of us are schemers. I have been periodically dishonest all of our marriage. Simply spoken, I cannot help it. James is not up to my level in the bedroom and I have an intimacy addiction. I did not, however, wed him for that. He was going to be a good earner and was simple to handle, thus I married him. Perhaps that seems frigid, but then you most likely drive a Ford from a trailer. I reside in a mansion and drive a Mercedes S-Series. Don't criticize me if you choose to settle or neglected future planning. James never has lied to me. He used to be like a cute dog trailing after me. I coached him through everything in the bedroom. Fortunately, he purchased my claim that I had learnt everything from the internet. He is not up to my level in bed, but owing to my training, he is absolutely near right now. Of course, he has also been ready to show some simple old love my way since that terrible day a year ago, which could be the reason I am so depressed about our likely divorce. Everyone gets caught, you see, eventually. In my situation, my kid was surfing behind my back while I went out with a hung Dominican national on a student visa. The small woman missed class and captured my love session in high definition on the camera phone I purchased her. God, I ought to have had her aborted. But she locked James to me while we were younger and unsure. When you most needed them, decisions, choices, and hindsight are useless. That day when I got home, she grinned at me and dashed upstairs. I entered the living room then and wandered into a dream. My most recent Valentine's Day occurred on TV. James was seated before it, tears running from his eyes and a keening sound coming from his chest. My hubby gently self-destructed in front of me as I was about to make love. I became frozen. Though my body was in shock, my mind prompted me to dash over and grab the power cord to feed the entertainment center. We both watched as my affair and Eddie, the student. In a perfect world, even at this point, my spouse would have been in the mood or aroused with a scenario like this before him. We may then have had only an understanding, but that was not to be. His head swiveled like a turret to face me, his eyes locked with mine, and all I could see was mindless anger or hatred as he finally sprung up and flung the remote into our very costly UHD flat screen. I could not be sure which. James, I can clarify for you. I stammered. Indeed, yes. It was either an act of God or an accident. Though I kept trying like a fool, I felt I knew the challenges between men and women and how seldom things work out. His hands were closing and opening. He had irregular breathing. I honestly started to worry that he may hurt me for the first time since I had met him. Strangely, it sounded as though his reaction to my affair was not one of astonishment, but I lacked time to consider it. Rather, he dashed into the garage and I heard his truck, an ancient Ford he kept in running order, start. He used to go out and service his animal patients, always joking that it earned him farm credit. He retained that dumb vehicle, even though he quit becoming a vet. Shortly after that, I heard the automated garage door start to open. Before I could dash into the driveway, I could see him peeling off onto the residential street through the front window. God, kindly let him to use his seatbelt. I heard. Also on the stairway staring out the picture window was my offspring. What the devil do you want? You did this to him, I yelled. What do you mean, my hopefully soon-to-be ex-mother? I did to him. Married to a man who merely sees rainbows and puppies coming out when I pass gas, I did not have an affair with a man practically young enough to be my child. Your daughter said, "You are so monumentally naive." What a horrible little woman I brought up. I needed her right out of here. I began to create a strategy for saving my life, and shipping the prude off to her grandparents came first. Of course, after I turned off her phone and erased the DVD she had created for her father to view. You are visiting your father and mother. I would counsel you not to bring any of this up with them. You no longer have any evidence, and I can most definitely make things quite tough for you still living under this roof. If you believe I lack control over your father once he cools off, you are insane. I screamed at the end, my loving daughter, child of my loins, not meddle with me. Scared, she ran upstairs, I thought. But at that time, I was not aware of the cloud either. Bad computers. A day went by. My husband eventually returned home, and my daughter was safely, or so I thought, stowed away, where she couldn't torment me further. Red in his eyes, he seemed to have not lately slept. When I heard him drag up, I had furiously scratched my eyes and hadn't changed clothes. It also seemed like I was in extreme shape after some creative arrangement when he arrived into the living room. Please pardon me. I deliberately let out a small girl's voice. I have to have collapsed. I have no idea what came over me to enable it. Even with his suffering, his manner was icy. His manner exuded some incomprehensible feeling. I got up slowly and encircled him with my arms, but I saw he didn't reciprocate the motion. He just stood unbending like a fence post or a tree. I dropped you, us, and our daughter. Nothing I done can be corrected. I still love you. If you wish to be apart from me, I will not fight it. I ran a measured risk, though I suppose the chances were clearly in my favor. It could go both ways. At last, he started to talk. I cannot focus when you rub your body against mine, thus will you kindly stop. I need more time to ponder apart from your influence. I am fatigued. With the door locked, I am going to sleep in the bedroom for a little, so you must get anything you require from there and head to the spare bedroom. Excellent. He bit off the divorce gambit instead. I dashed upstairs to pick some items from the master bathroom and closet, then hauled them down the hall into the spare bedroom. The lock clicked on the door as I was returning. I barely touched the door. James, may we perhaps at least chat soon? I inquired. We can chat first thing in morning. Tightly hold the fort. Keep the house fires ablaze. Tell the president if I am not waking by sunrise. He unleashed a shout. The toughest part was right now. I avoided eating and drinking since I had to seem even worse. I further messed my hair and stuck my finger down my neck to let some fluid trickle over my sundress so I might throw it back off. Some well-placed snot also enhanced the appearance. I also rubbed a little Vaseline on the rear of my hand and set a tumbler of straight vodka close by. To accentuate my tiredness, I made myself stay awake during the rest of the day and into the night. James came down the next morning, and I hurriedly dabbed some Vaseline on my teeth to help hold my lips open in kind of a rictus grin. To produce redness and tears, I also sprayed a few drops of the last vodka in my eyes. Though it hurt, it was really vital. Though still sad, I could see he looked worlds better. Better still was his obvious worry about my look. He still held me in great love. I shot it. Jesus, Grace, you really look awful. Now let's get you into bed. He grabbed me and hauled me to the main bedroom. As he pulled me into the room and set me down, I cried into his shoulder. It was much better when he dropped down beside me and began chatting. He then got going. Grace, you offend me. You truly rocked the foundations of heaven, but I wouldn't want you to destroy yourself. Mom phoned to let us know they were looking after Margot, hence we should talk. Though he seemed uneasy, he carried on. I gave this real thought quite seriously. I mean tougher than I have ever imagined in my lifetime. Though you should undergo treatment on your issues, I believe I could be ready to give you another chance. One further thing exists. He stopped for a split second. Anything, sweetheart. I swear, I started to answer, but he stopped me. He almost yelled, "Hush." He seemed less over it than I had assumed. Grace, there is one more thing. Though I need you to experience the soul-rising suffering you cause, you most likely won't like it. Though I'm not sure when it will happen, I am going to sleep with another woman and record it sometime in the future. You will have to see me with another lady if you wish us to work moving ahead. You will have to see me loving her. Even then will be our case. For actual purposes, I was startled. Out of my loving partner, I had created a monster, and he was resolved to destroy me. Almost more than I could handle, the idea of him treating another girl like I did to my lover's maid. However, I needed him. To get back to where it was, I had to live through this. I also want you to know that you should get tested for STDs before we experience love once more. I will do the same whenever I get my retribution at some time down road. Assuming we do get close again in the interim, I will be wearing protection. I can't put it past you to attempt to create another child to tie me to you deeper. As right now, I have trust problems. He addressed it. I know, James, my darling. Though I want not to go through the same suffering, I will keep you. I will bear anything for that. Though you have to do what you must, I thought it was a touch hammy. Over the next few months, we adopted a nervous schedule, Returning to a house where she couldn't fathom why we weren't separated, my demon kid found I governed this family, so I just grinned at her and reminded her. She never explicitly challenged me again after that. Counseling was easy as well. I just blamed an obsession with closeness. Eating it up, the doctor regurgitated it to my hubby like a baby egret. The issue was, as I already indicated, my hubby made extra effort to love me foolish. He seized control of the bedroom straight out of my reach. Every time, I wondered whether he had picked up his new impassioned skills from another lady. I panicked when we lacked love because he pretended to be sick or exhausted. Would tomorrow be the day I would watch him destroying some other woman, maybe developing feelings for her? There was some terrible impact here. As the year went on, I lost all confidence. I was depending just on my husband since I couldn't risk an outside liaison contacting him backtracking. When he ignored me, I pined. I dropped weight and wasn't overweight to start with. Even my hair became brittle and lost its gloss. People at work told me I aged 10 years and appeared as though I had undergone a shock. I was unable to fall asleep. My joints pain. Perhaps I was prematurely getting older. Worst of all, I started to obsess over and truly adore my husband. I owned nothing. He owned everything. Every day I waited for my world to be snatched from me and, like some evil priest from a film, for my James to joyously giggle and slide his hand into my chest to rip out my still beating heart. My plan had failed worse than a winter assault on Russia. One would have assumed that the master schemer would avoid falling into her own trap of creation. At last, practically a year to the day, I could stop taking it. I chose to cut the plug to observe what happened. Resolved to have it with my wonderful husband, I sent my daughter back to her grandparents once more. I was leaving, but he had to decide. Though I loved him sincerely, for the first time I could not bear any more. James, I cannot stand this anymore. I need you to find this other woman, have love with her, and let me view the tape so we could move past this quickly. He glanced at me just now. Realizing the gaze matched the one he gave me a year ago, I felt a chilly, crawling sensation slink across my body. The look an insect collector takes when he spots a particularly fascinating bug he wishes to gather, or maybe the frenzied glare a sociopath burning ants with a magnifying lens. From my deeds, what had I produced? Gracie, you truly believe I would slink to your level? He spoke in a detached manner. He preferred grace. So, I observed he never used my entire given name. Something he never did. I never meant to follow your instructions. I only did this last year. Destroy you. I wanted you to at last love me so that, when you could stop worrying and doubting, you would give me an ultimatum. He stood then and entered his study. I heard a key turn in a lock, and he returned carrying a big envelope. You might or not sign these. Not that matters. You and I have returned fully circle. You adore me with everything you have. I no longer give one iota about you. You don't want to cope with the guilt of me sleeping with one woman for vengeance, so I couldn't care if you became a crack-working woman downtown and sold yourself for some money. You see, right now you experience what I did. You know what it feels like to wonder every day if the one you love is going to toss aside that love and trust for a basic one-day intimacy. I never meant to resolve anything when I went away to contemplate. I just wanted to inflict as much damage as I could without physically punishing you. I examined the paperwork he handed me, divorce paperwork signed and dated little under a year ago. Though they clouded the details, my tears at this point had little significance. Gracie, there was only one chance. We might have reconciled if you came clean somewhere throughout the year and stopped trying to pass this off as some mental problem. You really apologized. You did not, though. Like I thought you would, you vacillated and tried to con your way out of it. Not dumb, Gracie. I am not. I have long-standing doubts and am rather sure the student was not your first outside man. Because of our kid and because I loved you then as much as you love me now, let it go. All the same, we are finished. If you want, sign the paperwork. Else, pick your belongings and head off. Margot is staying with me. She is mature enough to make decisions now, hence I have the house till she graduates. You make more than I do, thus luck will find you in obtaining alimony. Shoo now. Margot will be home shortly. I don't want you here. Looking upon his monstrosity after it killed his companion and wife, I was Frankenstein. Though I thought I would die of pneumonia anytime soon, I was as dead inside as the creator of Mary Shelley's monster. He had scheduled all of this. I even started to wonder if his goals and misgivings started around the time he decided to be a trucker. It definitely negated the money we made between us and changed my possibilities to utilize alimony as a weapon to postpone the divorce. He was also accurate in stating that where my kid would live custody-wise, her age would be highly weighted. The deal was really more than fair. I could have been compelled to give him alimony if he had been making less money, and most likely the custodial holder. I still could have brought it to court and held everything up for months or years, but the sheer financial burden of keeping a lawyer for that length made it reckless. Having little choices, I grudgingly signed the paperwork then and there, compiling a few items before I went. I would have movers pick the remainder. After all, they were simply things. What I truly wanted, I could not have. My tragic story should have finished there, but my daughter uploaded my terrible deeds from the cloud to an adult film website after making it plain she was no longer terrified of me and that she never wanted to see me again. My video had speedy fallout, faster than the lawsuit to have it deleted for sure. I lost my vet job and had to look for work in another state where I could explain my abrupt dismissal. I know I will overcome the suffering, the torment of feeling as though I'm being sliced to pieces someday. I'm still really beautiful, hence even if I don't get over James, I could replace him. Just not sure what the use would be. I look at where that took me. I had a marriage before which I entered without entirely loving my partner. Of course, I am not as robust as James. James stared me squarely in the eye and instructed me to present my finest effort so he might grab it. That's certain. I couldn't take him. Regarding my present love life, I still have sporadic hookings, but I am dead and frigid inside emotionally. I still adore the monster I produced, and the narrative of today ends here. Should you love it, kindly thumbs up this video and leave a comment below. The algorithm pushes my material farther, thanks in part to your support. Remember to mark that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. It greatly helps me to keep writing fresh tales for you. I appreciate you seeing. Next one will see you.